On November 22nd, 2022, the football world witnessed something that seemed impossible. On one side stood Argentina, one of the favorites to win the World Cup. They were unbeaten in 36 consecutive matches. They had Lionel Messi, one of the greatest players in football history. Millions of fans believed this would finally be the tournament where Messi completed football by lifting the World Cup. On the other side stood Saudi Arabia, a team most experts expected to be eliminated in the group stage, a team ranked far below Argentina, a team nobody believed could win. 90 minutes later, the impossible had happened. Saudi Arabia had defeated Argentina 2-1 in what many people consider the greatest World Cup upset ever. To understand just how shocking this result was, you need to understand the situation before the match. Argentina arrived in Qatar as one of the strongest teams in the world. They had recently won the Copa America. They hadn't lost a match in almost 3 years. Their unbeaten streak stood at 36 games, just one short of the all-time international record. Confidence was sky high. Fans weren't asking whether Argentina would beat Saudi Arabia. They were asking by how many goals. Saudi Arabia entered the tournament with completely different expectations. Most football fans outside the Middle East knew very little about the team. They weren't filled with global superstars. Their squad consisted mainly of players from the Saudi domestic league. Compared to Argentina, they appeared massively outmatched. On paper, this looked like one of the most predictable matches of the entire World Cup. The game began exactly as everyone expected. Just 10 minutes into the match, Argentina were awarded a penalty. Lionel Messi stepped forward. The stadium held its breath.
Messi calmly converted the penalty and gave Argentina a 1-0 lead. At that moment, nobody was surprised. In fact, many people expected the floodgates to open. Argentina looked comfortable. Saudi Arabia looked overwhelmed. It seemed like the script was already written. Then, something strange happened. Argentina kept attacking. They created chances. They even had the ball in the net multiple times. But goal after goal was ruled out for offside. 3 Argentine goals were disallowed. Each time, celebrations were cut short. Each time, Saudi Arabia survived. While Argentina remained ahead, the match never truly felt finished. Behind the scenes, Saudi Arabia were executing a remarkably brave plan. Their defensive line was positioned unusually high up the pitch. Against a team with players as talented as Argentina's, this was incredibly risky. One mistake could lead to disaster. But Saudi Arabia trusted their organization and discipline. Again and again, they caught Argentine attackers offside. It was a dangerous strategy, but it was working. At halftime, Argentina led 1-0. Most people still expected them to win comfortably. Then came 6 minutes that changed football history. Just after the second half began, Saudi Arabia launched an attack. Saleh Al-Shairi received the ball near the edge of the penalty area. With defenders closing in, he fired a precise shot into the far corner of the goal. Suddenly, it was 1-1. The Saudi fans erupted. Around the world, viewers began paying attention. An upset no longer seemed impossible. But Saudi Arabia weren't finished.
Only a few minutes later, Salem Al-Dosari received the ball inside the penalty area. Surrounded by defenders, he produced a moment of pure magic. He curled a spectacular shot into the top corner of the net. Argentina's goalkeeper had no chance. Saudi Arabia now led 2-1. The stadium exploded. Players celebrated wildly. Fans could hardly believe what they were seeing. On the Argentine side, there was shock, confusion, panic. One of the strongest teams in the world was losing to a team almost nobody had given a chance. The remaining minutes felt endless. Argentina attacked relentlessly. They pushed forward again and again, searching for an equalizer. Crosses flew into the box. Shots came from every angle. Saudi Arabia defended with extraordinary determination. Every tackle felt like a goal. Every clearance felt like a victory. Then came the final whistle. Saudi Arabia had done it. Argentina's 36-match unbeaten streak was over.
One of the biggest favorites to win the World Cup had been defeated by one of the tournament's biggest underdogs. Football fans across the world immediately began calling it one of the greatest upsets in sports history. The reaction was incredible. In Saudi Arabia, celebrations erupted across the country. The victory was so significant that a national holiday was declared. Fans filled the streets. Players became national heroes overnight. For many Saudis, it was one of the greatest moments in their sporting history.
Meanwhile, Argentina faced a completely different reality. The critics questioned the team. Pundits wondered whether they had been overrated. Some even feared Argentina might fail to advance from the group stage. But here's what makes this story even more unbelievable. The upset didn't destroy Argentina, it transformed them. After the shock of losing to Saudi Arabia, Argentina responded with determination. Every match became a must-win game. The pressure was immense. Yet instead of collapsing, they grew stronger. They defeated Mexico. They defeated Poland. They advanced to the knockout stages. Then they kept winning. Australia, the Netherlands, Croatia. One by one, the obstacles disappeared. Eventually, Argentina reached the World Cup final against France in what many consider the greatest World Cup final ever played. After an unforgettable match, Argentina won on penalties. Lionel Messi finally lifted the World Cup trophy. The dream was complete. And that's what makes the Saudi Arabia victory even more fascinating. Saudi Arabia didn't just beat a strong team, they beat the eventual world champions. To this day, it remains one of the strangest results in football history. A team that lost its opening match against a massive underdog somehow recovered and won the entire tournament. It's almost impossible to imagine another sport producing a story like that. So why did Saudi Arabia win? Part of the answer is tactics. Their high defensive line repeatedly caught Argentina offside. Part of the answer is belief. They never accepted that they were supposed to lose. And part of the answer is football itself. Unlike many sports, football often produces surprises because goals are relatively rare. A single moment can change everything. One mistake, one brilliant shot, one unexpected opportunity. That's why underdogs always have a chance. On paper, Argentina were better. They had better players, more experience, more star power, more expectations. But football isn't played on paper. It's played on grass. And for 90 unforgettable minutes in Qatar, Saudi Arabia played the match of their lives. The result shocked billions of people. It shattered predictions. It created one of the greatest moments in World Cup history. And it reminded the world why football remains the most unpredictable sport on earth. Because sometimes the giants fall. Sometimes the underdogs rise. And sometimes the impossible becomes reality.